Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of the Morrissey Metrics podcast here, where we're doing a quick half hour kind of pre show to the Tigers series that ends with the Tigers and Yankees that start at 7 o'clock. Usually they play a day game, but I understand that today being September 11th, and for those who
Mm.
would like to honor and those, just kind of today's still, I mean, I can't believe it's already been 24 years. Seems like in a blink of an eye kind of thing. And so,
Yep.
I believe the president's gonna be at the game today too. So there's been a lot of it's been a very long week with everything that's going on. So that being said, however, but the Tigers have been able to take care of the Yankees soundly in these first two games, as the Yankees came in with a little bit of not kind of in a higher note than the Tigers, but the Tigers were kind of
Hmm.
against the White Sox. And look, I said this during the series. I wrote a column about the White Sox, and they have a couple of young players. They got nothing to lose. When you have a team like that, it doesn't matter the strength of schedule. When a team like the Yankees, or excuse me, like the White Sox have that young talent, it's not going to matter really.
Yeah. The White Sox have just enough talent now, and these are young guys who want to make you know, stake their claim to jobs and work their way up. They're excited to be there. Whereas if they were playing out the string with a bunch of guys who were collectively 40 games under 500, that series would have been a lot easier. But they just happen to have a couple of really hot prospects and really propelled them.
Yeah, especially Colson Montgomery. I mean, Montgomery was a pain in the ass the entire series. He did. I thought he did a really good job of extending at bats.
Yeah.
Kyle Teal is the real deal. They have two catchers in there in Edgar Cueto as well. That this is a team that has some really good offensive cornerstones, and so it was a series that also the bullpen too. The White Sox bullpen has been one of the better ones in the second half of the season. They're
Yeah.
ranked among the top three. Or sorry, I think no, top five in all of baseball. And Ethan Katz has done a really good job with. We talk about Chris Federer all the time in pitching chaos. Ethan Katz deserves some credit down in Chicago.
No question. Jordan Leisure looks like he could have a future, as their ninth inning guy. And Gavin Taylor, little wild, but man, he's got a life on his fastball. I mean, they definitely have some stuff to work with as they move forward. I mean, I don't think they're going to like contend next year or anything, but no reason why they can't be a team that goes from winning 50 games to winning 75, 80 games next year, maybe.
Yeah, they just need a little more starting pitching, and
Hmm.
there was a. I think that's one thing that the White Sox are going to have to address more. And they got some guys in their system right now. As Mike Papachek joins us. Pap, how you doing?
There he is.
Oh, short train today in Ferndale. If you live in Ferndale, you know what that's like. So, got here on time. Hey,
Oh, is there like a certain crossroad in Ferndale?
yeah, there's just a train that goes over 9 miles. So if you come from the highway to get to Ferndale, you got to get past the train, and it's a switch yard. So the train comes like every day. I was going a lot faster than I'd like to admit to try to make it past the train, and I failed. But it's all right. I got here 2 minutes late.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. No, and
The train reference.
yeah, I was gonna say there's no real. I guess there's down here in where I live. There's not a lot. There's one train, but in particular, but that's more further south downriver. Anyway, but yeah, so we're just talking about some of the takeaways with the White Sox series, and Michael just mentioned in the chat that they came in with a 5 game winning streak, and
Hmm.
and how much of a pain in the ass Chicago was during the series.
You know, I've been reading a lot of like White Sox Central guys don't actually believe in Colson Montgomery. At least one, a couple of them. I'm trying to look it up. I'm sorry, I don't have I don't have it pulled up, but I saw somebody that just said like I don't see it long term. It's fun to watch now though, and I'm just like that's what I watched the whole series like wondering like what do I not understand like the
Well,
kid's
his
raking right
home
now.
run rate, home run to fly ball rate's got to be sky high. I mean, it has. I mean, whether that's sustainable or not, who knows? And his on base isn't fantastic, but everything else it looks like he's a quality shortstop, and he sure hits the hell out of it when he makes contact.
And I'm sorry for bringing up something unfounded. I'm trying to
No,
find
no,
it.
no, no. But I know I see what you're saying though. I've seen some of that too, where I think people are just worried, maybe perhaps that it's just when the league catches up to him, he's screwed, perhaps kind of thing. Maybe that's it. I don't know. So that's where I think it's kind of weird. But maybe also White Sox fans can be a little cynical because I mean this is a team that every 3 or 4 years, oh we're good, guess what? Sorry, pull the plug, and they'll trade everybody.
They've been conditioned not to expect anything
That's a
good.
good way to
Yeah.
put it. They have been conditioned, yes. That's a fantastic way to put it. And talking to, I was talking to Chris. I was on the visiting dugout podcast with her, and what was interesting is that we're talking about Steve Stone, the color man, and he was in the booth, and he was talking to a couple of reporters in the press box, and just hearing him talking about pitching design and breakdown and everything. I can hear that guy talk all day. Steve Stone, like he knows his stuff, and what Katz is doing with the staff, like we were mentioning earlier, Mike, is pretty impressive. And so, but getting to the task at hand, the series, the Tigers. Speaking of starting pitching, Casey Mize and Jack Flaherty have been absolutely dealing, and they have kept the Yankees in check. Yesterday, a result of 3 double plays, 2 by Aaron Judge and 1 by Mike Stratton and Stanton, who, by the way, was like something, I think, because I was watching the Yankees feed. He's like 3 for his last 35 or something like that.
Yeah, he's on a bad run right now, no question. Boy, those are 2 fun games, and it's so interesting. The Tigers won them both by double digits, but they were very different. Like game 1, it was almost. I was talking about the game with someone. I almost said the Tigers had a 9-run explosion, and I changed my mind to Yankees had a 9-run implosion. They kind of gave Tigers a lot of runs in that inning, but then the following night, completely different. The Tigers came out with swinging hot bats, and they were crushing the baseball, and just ran the Yankees off the field.
And does it have it? I'm so happy that if this was going to happen in a series, that it happens against the Yankees, right? Like, am I?
Yeah.
I can't be the only person thinking that. Like, I was talking at work with a guy, and we chat casual baseball, and I came in and I just have a giant grin. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Don't you just love seeing the Yankees get destroyed by your team?" And he's like, "Yes, it's so." I know I'm not the only person, but oh my gosh, just seeing the distrust in the manager, that they just don't really believe, fans especially. But I mean, really seems like the organization isn't sold with them either, with Boone. And it looks like they have so many more questions. And I'm not saying that a slump is good, but the fact that the Tigers decided to go on a slump at the All-Star break and not like in September is something that matters. Like, it's not a baseball, it's a baseball thing, but it's not a metric. It's just the hot teams in September and October are the teams that typically do better. So it's looking, like the Yankees are kind of at their worst right now, at the worst possible time. And I don't know. It's just making me look at this organization being like, it could be a lot worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, and especially when you go out and get 3 closers to do the job, and then you bomb one of them yesterday to the tune, the Giants closer they acquired. And so the one thing that and I'm with you on this about Yankee fans, because maybe it's there's media entities out there that there was one that said Kyle Finnegan and the Tigers, I don't care. Okay, cool. Congratulations. We don't care either. And so I think I think it's that Midwestern chip on our shoulder, or the Detroit versus everybody. As much as I sometimes hate saying that because it's too cliche. I love the slogan. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes we over abuse it a little bit. And so, but that being said, though, when it comes to this, absolutely, because when they started having the New York versus everybody, it's like, knock it off. You know where you got it. You know where you got that. But it's also watching. Watching Aaron Boone decide to put the same guy out there 2 days in a row. Okay, I mean, it's bizarre. Like, all right, cool. Thank you for serving up another home run to us. Thank you very much. We'll take that. And there is, and the other thing too is it's just a matter of like his choices. Interesting enough defensively too. Like, one thing that I was curious about, and it was the ball yesterday. I think it was Dylan Dingler's grounder to third, and the Yankee, what was it? They were saying Ryan McMahon would have had that ball, but it was well, God, who was the guy who was playing third yesterday? Ahmed Rosario. So like,
Sorry.
oh yeah, Rosario didn't come up with that, and I was like, well, why did he change him out in the first place?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Boone also yesterday was, and Tom, the writer Tom Verducci was talking about it on the MLB Network broadcast. That game was a 2-0 game, and they had Luke Weaver warming up. And a 2-0 game is still very winnable. And all of a sudden, they sat him down and they brought Leiter back out there for a second night in a row, which was really odd because considering how Leiter had looked the night before, obviously, but more than anything, Weaver is one of your better relievers, more reliable guys. You got him warmed up; he's hot and ready to go, and all of a sudden you sit him. That was really strange.
yeah. Especially also when you look at you were mentioning leader and his split finger was not doing anything. It was just flat. It was just floating in there. And it was a prime example that Parker Meadows like squared it up really nice on that single.
Yeah.
But it was also the Tigers did some really, and Michael mentioned this too. Had a lot of good discipline and patient at bats. One of them, my favorite at bat was Gleyber Torres. That ball that with the infield drawing in was able to just go out to right. Just took where the ball took him. I was able to get the run home, and that's all that mattered. And that was one of the better at bats in the series because the Tigers were executing when they needed to. Versus in the White Sox series, they weren't doing that. The White Sox, I don't know what was going on with that. It was just when the White Sox bullpen came in, the Tigers just kind of like there was a lot of quick at bats.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, every regular had a hit. So even Cole Keefe, that came in for a pinch hit,
Yeah.
got the home run. So
It was really nice seeing Torkelson hit 3 line drives.
yeah, no,
3 line drive singles. They're all well hit. Because to me, he was kind of in the last couple of weeks slipping back into some of those habits of hitting those, pop ups. And I always call it pop ups the elephant's ass because they're high and they stink, right? So, and he was doing a lot of that. But then yesterday, I'm hoping that's something we continue to see. Because the power will come eventually. But if he keeps lacing those liners, good things going to happen.
yeah, and the other thing too though about the series has been interesting was Chris Paddock going out there and throwing 3 innings for a save.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. Who expected that in a million years? Not I. But the Yankee bats, for example, it was funny. It's often we're so focused on one team. Then you look at Trent Grisham. He's got 30 home runs. Good Lord! Like I didn't know that. And he came in like his previous high was 17 when the Padres back 3 years ago. So it's just weird to see him. You look at his stat and he's a 3.3 WAR player. It's like, what?
It's interesting you say that because I was beside myself laughing that he actually had green light on a 3-0 with 2 men on base with Judge on deck in game 1, and then when it was still close, and couldn't believe they let him swing, and he knocked into a double play and got out, got Mize out of the inning. But I suppose if I got a platoon advantage there, and he's hit 30 homers. I guess you can kind of see it, but I still think try to get the bat in Judge's hands.
Yeah.
Before we do anything else. And the Tigers have benefited a couple times lately from that. Back in the Royals series, Yastrzemski hit into a double play right in front of Bobby Witt Jr. That got the Tigers out of a scary inning. So they've had some good luck in that front too lately on the green lights.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that stood out to me in this series too was just watching Brad Ausmus try to whisper things back and forth with Aaron Boone. It's like, I wonder if Aaron Boone's like, all right, dude, nah, I'm not gonna listen to you, man.
I mean, he's done anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see him unless they win the World Series. I just don't see Boone even making it through the end of this year.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Williams has been a disappointment, and that was, I mean, disappointment as in, I don't know if the rotation hasn't been bad. The rotation's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's just the bullpen has been a mess, and they haven't been able to. I don't like coming into the series. I thought that looked like they were stabilizing things a little bit, but Toronto continues to play well, and it's a team that the Tigers right now essentially have the best record in the American League by a game, and so it's Toronto and Detroit with the Red Sox just 3 games back. Chipman or excuse me, Chapman allowed a hit yesterday, which was eye popping a little bit. But the magic number now is 8 for Detroit. Unless that changed, Super. Did that change
Nope.
today at all?
No, I don't. I don't think Cleveland played this afternoon, did they?
It was. You know what? That's a good check. Let me check that real quick here. So Cleveland was.
No, they play at 7:15.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's still 8 right now.
Okay. So yep. Uh, so before we go to inside number, let's just let's do that. Let's go with inside numbers, and then we'll finish things off. Talk about the Marlins, Tigers and Marlins series. All right. So, Uper, what is your inside number today?
Well, for me, it was pretty. It's been this was on Twitter everywhere today. So if you've seen it, bear with me. But Jack Flaherty, non-playoff teams, ERA 6.4. Playoff teams this year versus current playoff teams, 2.6. So I did some exhaustive research today because he has such a disparity between ERA versus good teams and bad teams. And I found this out. In the playoffs, there's lots of good teams. So I think that's a good thing. So anyway, I don't know. It's probably a lot of luck involved. Who knows? But that's the way it's worked out for Jack Flaherty this year. When he's faced good lineups, he's brought his A game more often than not. And it's interesting when we're going to get into it a little bit. I'm sure between the number 2 starter between Mize and Flaherty, which way you go. We still got a couple weeks to figure that out. A couple more outings for each one. But man, when Flaherty is right, he really breezes through some innings. Now, yesterday he had a lot of 3-ball counts, and he kind of lived right, and didn't walk anybody, and was able to strike out guys. And you probably don't want to be in that many 3-ball counts, but still, he pitched a hell of a game in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, no, that's true. Especially because you hopefully these Yankee bats would heat up, and that the Yankees are still a dangerous team in the postseason. Regardless, I don't a guy like Ben Rice would probably be aggravating to me at least. So, Mike, what is your inside number today?
So my number is 184, and it's just kind of a placeholder because this is just kind of more of a concept. That's the number of home runs the Tigers have hit this year as a team, right? That puts them at 5th in the American League. The 4 teams ahead of them, I'm sure you guys could guess 2 of them pretty easily in the American League. You got the Yankees playing against. They're way ahead of everybody. They got 246. And then the Mariners with Cal Raleigh, 213. The other 2 teams ahead of them are the Athletics and the Angels, who both have 201 home runs.
Huh.
I'm just bringing this up because I think going into this year, and even now, I'm not contextualizing the Tigers' power. And when you consider the amount of power that they have, and with 2 bad teams ahead of them in that department, with Seattle, really, we're not sure if they're even going to make the playoffs. They have 1 playoff team that hits for more home runs than they do in the American League. And home runs are important in the postseason. That's a quickest way to score a run. Just hit it out of the park. So I think it's really interesting when you actually put it in terms like that the Tigers are going to be probably the number 2 power team in the American League in terms of ranking all of them that make the playoffs. I feel really good about the postseason from a power perspective, and I didn't really know I felt that way until I looked at it today.
No, that's
a hell of a good point, Mike.
Yeah.
I amen to that because in the playoffs, it's all about home runs. There's no question extra base hits. So great idea. Yesterday, Tom Verducci was talking about how the Yankees don't piece together rallies with lots of hits, that they rely on the home run. And I thought he was completely off base when he's saying that's bodes poorly for the playoffs. they hit homers. That bodes well for them in the playoffs. That's when they could get hot and crush people with their home run power. But you're right, Detroit's right up there above everybody else.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing too that like something that I was noticing with the Yankees broadcaster yesterday too was they're talking about Riley Green's swing for power, and they were really complimenting him quite a bit there on that home run. And the if you look at the amount of times where a rally starts with just like a we saw with Torkelson, but just smart base running. If there's one stat that I've noticed that left the first to third stat that's been out there is a prime example of that. And the Tigers are taking advantage of when they can't get. The Tigers have always struggled. Not always. The Tigers have struggled getting runners in scoring position home in the last few years, and they're doing the little things now to get that happening. And so, if Parker Meadows back in the lineup, I think that makes a big difference. And we're seeing the Parker Meadows from last year, the late August, September Parker Meadows, who made a really good diving catch in Comerica Park last week against Chicago, and just putting the bat on the ball and just doing the little things that the Tigers need him to do. And that's huge. The my inside number is I'm not it was a stat that I saw. I'll give credit where credit's due. Patrick Fudo put this out. The Tigers are 18-7 games started by Casey Mize. They're 8-20 games started by Jack Flaherty. Mize, he says that Mize has much better overall stats and metrics. So there's not be a question who should be the number 2 starter in the postseason. Well, yes and no. Yes, his in terms of like record against 500, teams against 500 or over 500, he's done well. He's done well against the Guardians. He's done well against the Yankees. He's done very well against the Yankees. He's done well against New York in a game against the Mets. That being said, it's a coin flip, really. I think that you can't ignore the stats with Flaherty either with that, and so it does bode very well that if Mize, who did some extra bullpen work last week in Comerica, he talked about that you just want that to continue. I don't care who pitches game 2. If Hinch is like, look, I'll have Flaherty go and then Mize go, that's all that matters. The Tigers need to go beyond Skubal to get anywhere in the postseason. It's that simple.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
it comes down to like, do you trust experience over somebody you think might be a little on like a better track, like better pace? Are they hot? Are they the hot pitcher, hot hand?
Yeah,
And I feel like AJ is good at straddling which one matters the most in certain situations.
agreed.
Like sometimes he goes with the experience, and I feel like sometimes he's done that to a fault. But also, I don't think he's afraid to give a guy a chance if that's what is going to help the team win. And I feel like I'm speaking in just like all these terrible coach cliches, but like it's true though. Like I feel like he does do that. And I was talking about earlier, seeing how Aaron Boone just flop over there, like just how much I appreciate having a decent manager. I think that's a really good point, Roger. Like I think that he is going to handle that, and I don't really care who starts either. Like,
yeah, I don't. And if you look at the bullpen too, I mean, the way he's handled Rafael Montero, as just the kind of like the adjustment for him, and then working on his grip, where he was talking about getting a better grip on his fastball and making the little adjustments like that. Those are the little things that, when you look at the Finnegan trade as an example of him using splitter usage, those things, the little details, that's what's going to matter in the postseason. And right now, as it stands, the Tigers, like I said, and I wish we had more time to talk about what Harris said on the Have a Seat podcast. He did talk about patience with the prospects and everything, and I would agree with him on that. But there was one takeaway. He was talking about Montero and the grip and when those little, like, why they did that, what they did. And I implicitly trust AJ Hinch with the rotation and what he's going to do with the pitching chaos kind of thing. I mean, sometimes I don't understand the usage how to hold him, but he's a professional manager, and that's fine. Max Clark just played a whole full season. I mean, fall ball is essentially for guys that are going to, I understand why they didn't put him out there. I think he's got stuff going on. I think he's at a wedding, but overall, he doesn't really need to go to fall ball. Honestly, he's fine. Clark is.
Well, it's McGonigal. They want to place him at different positions, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
get some reps.
yeah, yeah. And that's all. That's all it is. Because McGonagall is going to get some time at third, and he's going to. They're trying to figure him out shortstop, and he's a guy who could potentially make the roster opening day. Clark is still a little bit of ways away, not that far away, but Clark is getting there. So the Tigers, by the way, are playing. There's kind of a lot of old friends on this Marlins team. Dane Myers, for those who follow Erie quite a bit. Derek Hill and John Hicks are going to be there. So as far as the pitching matchups go for the Tigers this weekend, as they again, I don't, I take the Marlins just as seriously as I would take the Yankees. I'm not, the record does not mean jack crap to me because they're pretty good. So Friday it'll be Scooble against Sandy Alcantara. Saturday at 4:10, Charlie Morton against Jansen Junk.
Jansen Junk. Love it.
Yep. And then Sunday is TBD versus Adam Mauser, Mazur.
Yeah, Iowa guy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. The Marlins, like I said, I think Kyle Stowers is out, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not as terrified. I feel like they've lost a little bit of pizzazz without him in the lineup a little bit, but they still have Xavier Edwards. They have a pretty good team. A guy's like unproven talent, but again, Jansen Junk, who I believe they got from the Yankees, has looked pretty solid. He's looked except for his last start against Washington, has given up 3 runs or less in his prior to that last 5 starts. So
I got that rookie catcher, Augustine Ramirez, right? And he's got about 20 homers. But I think he's slumped a little lately. So hopefully he is just kind of a rookie running out of gas in a long season.
He's a big.
He does play a lot.
Yeah, he's a big boy, man. He's a massive dude. Saw him play for Jacksonville, and he's got some size to him. That's for sure. I know, but what were you guys gonna? Is there anything you wanted to add about the series against the Marlins? I mean, it's just taking care of business, doing what they got to do.
I mean, it'll be.
Go ahead, Nick.
All right. I mean, it'll be cool to see Alcantara. I know he's not the same. Really hoping the Tigers tee off on him. They're letting him pitch. He's pitching at least 6 innings, pretty much all of his outings. They're going to let him stay out there. So that will be fun, but it's against Scooble, so really not expecting much there. I just think that if we were playing the Marlins like 2 weeks ago, I'd have been really worried. Even a little bit longer ago, really coming out of the All-Star break more so, I was thinking, man, we thought that series was going to be easy, and they were hot. But really, since they approached 500 right around that time, they did all get all the way to 500 after sweeping the Yankees to get to 55 and 55. They haven't really approached the 500 mark since then. They've lost 6 of the last 7 against the Nationals. This should be. This is ideally what we thought the White Sox series would be. What I thought the White Sox series would be. Just a little tune-up, and what this Yankees series has ended up being. I think what's important right now is if the Tigers can build a quick lead and allow AJ to just let the bullpen get right. I'm really liking throwing anybody they want in there with a big lead. Like it lets guys just get out there and not worry about the score. And I think that the bullpen is my biggest worry, like the pitching in general, but the bullpen is still a worry. And I think that that's what we're going to see these last couple of weeks, and it starts with that Marlins series.
Agreed. Yeah, Paul Stewart, by the way, pitched for Toledo last night. Scoreless inning, 15 pitches, 15 pitches, 10 strikes. So he was out there being efficient, doing his thing. He's got the fastball sweeper, and then Urquidy is still pitching down in Toledo. So we'll see what happens there and what they'll end up doing. Bailey Horn was called up today, by the way, as he comes back from maternity leave, and Drew Summers goes back to Toledo.
We'll miss him.
Yeah. I mean, barely seen him, but I mean, to see Bailey Horn get some more reps out there, too, to see what he's capable of in a high leverage situation when his sweeper's not working, because his fastball is really good, but it's when he can get both going, that'll help him out. But
how many more innings do you think Sewell's got to pitch in Toledo before they think about bringing him up?
I think about probably another 2 or 3 outings worth, and
Yeah.
and then they'll bring him up beforehand. And Finnegan should be back before the end of the postseason. We had a chance to talk to him last week, and he was still in good spirits about that. And it was a good precautionary move there, and at least it wasn't arm related. So, thanks so much for watching. If you want to join us on our minor league watch stream, the Whitecaps are playing at home, looking to clinch a spot in the championship as they take on Lake County, who are the defending Midwest League champions. As it will be Hayton Minton on the hill for the Whitecaps to look to. The winner will take either the winner of Beloit and Cedar Rapids, the Marlins affiliate versus the Twins affiliate. And then on Lakeland side of things, Lakeland, if they win tonight against Clearwater, they take on Gage Wood. So that former was it Alabama pitcher, right? Or Arkansas pitcher will be pitching for Clearwater tonight. If Lakeland wins, they'll take on the winner of Daytona and Port St. Lucie or Port Lucie.
Port St. Lucie.
Port St.
Port Lucie, yes, thank you. The Mets affiliate. So, and Erie starts their playoffs next week as they take on Altoona. They're taking on Altoona right now. The battle of shortstops, Connor Griffin versus Kevin McGonigal. And Erie is trying to play a lot of things close to the vest. So they play each other next week. So thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll be previewing the Cleveland. I think the Cleveland series is next weekend, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun time. And there's a lot of people that want the Tigers to clinch against Cleveland for reasons that are pretty self-explanatory. And I agree with that completely. So
It would be fun.
Will be fun. Yes. And thanks so much for watching. Keep it classy, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Go Pack.
Ah. You had to get in there.
Sure you don't want to extend the show about half hour and talk